Meanwhile, the economy is in free fall. Markets are collapsing. We've got troops dying overseas and Trump going, I didn't even hear about it, hours after it took place. Intel is leaking over Signal. Americans are being sent to foreign prisons. And Trump is golfing. That's what Trump spent the weekend doing. And then he answered questions on Air Force One, a sweaty and disheveled Trump seemingly panicking as he realizes, damn, I may not have an exit strategy here. Trump claiming he spoke to leaders, all of the best leaders all over the world, and saying really confusing thing about surpluses, deficits, trade balance, suggesting that he may not really have a clue what the hell is going on.
You talked to a lot of leaders this weekend. Can you tell us, sir, were there any deals made?
I spoke to a lot of leaders, European, Asian, from all over the world. They're dying to make a deal. But I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country.
I said, I'll tell you what.
We're not going to do that because to me a deficit is a loss. We're going to have surpluses or we're at worst going to be breaking even. But China would be the worst in the group because the deficit is so big and it's not sustainable. And you know, I was elected on this. This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected was exactly because of this. And
it's actually not. Trump is, of course, as is always the case, confusing different economic elements. And here Trump is saying a trade deficit is a loss, that if we import more from a country than we export, that is a net loss to the United States. This is just wrong. He doesn't have a clue what's going on. A trade deficit just means you import more than you export. It's not inherently bad. And in fact, countries with strong consumer economies like the United States almost always run a trade deficit. The United States economy for 50 years has been based around running trade deficits because we've calculated, and by our choices, we have decided we would rather import a lot of stuff at cheaper prices from other countries. We buy a lot of stuff. Importing more, having a trade deficit can reflect a strong dollar. It can reflect buying power. It can reflect a thriving service sector where we move in the direction of service economy and we import a lot of cheap stuff, quite frankly, from other places. So when Trump talks about breaking even, he's talking about a trade deficit going to neutrality where we import and export the same amount of stuff from every country. It's a fantasy. It's a complete and total economic fantasy for a country that is for now, despite Trump's best efforts, a country that is for now as wealthy as the United States is. Trump thinks that a trade deficit means someone else won. Like, because we have a trade deficit with China, China gets, a trophy after each shipment or whatever. Just total confusion about what these terms even mean. A reporter asks Trump, is there a Trump put? Of course, talking about puts and calls. And Trump says the question is stupid. And sometimes the stock market needs medicine, which is what I think Trump claims to be giving it.
in the world,
Mr. President,
which is what it should be.
Is there a Trump put though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid.
Your question is so stupid.
I think I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that
almost satire at this point. Let me translate what Trump means there. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand the question. He probably doesn't even know what a put is. He thinks that the question is some kind of a trick. He has no idea. Now, Trump also claimed during this sort of turbulent, figuratively and literally turbulent press conversation, Trump says that the tariffs are going to make us a lot of money.
Big, and it's not sustainable. And I was elected on this. This was one of the biggest reasons I got elected. Was exactly because of this. And we're going to put tariffs, we've already put them on. It's not a question of we will. We're going to put them on. And those tariffs next year will make us $1 trillion. In addition to the $1 trillion, thousands of companies are going to relocate back into the United States. In North Carolina, already furniture people are starting to move back in. In Detroit and Michigan, which I won, because of what I said, what I'm telling you, car companies are starting to open up. In Indiana, a big one is under construction, as an example, Honda. But they're moving in like nobody has ever seen this before. So it's unsustainable for us to allow China to have surpluses of $1 trillion.
All right. Anyway, tariffs don't make us money in any sustainable way. Tariffs are a tax on American consumers and businesses. When you put a 25% tariff on Chinese electronics, it's not President Xi who pays that. It's not the Chinese companies. It's you at Best Buy. Trump's China tariffs are paid by you at your local, what I don't even know where people go to buy stuff. I buy stuff online. The Best Buy. That's the only one I can think of. Target, Walmart. And what we are seeing right now is that the stock market has lost $10 trillion in market value as of April 4th. That's not a rounding error. That is people's retirement savings. That is 401ks. That's very bad for people. All right. And finally, Trump says he's been talking to all of the greatest tech leaders about the tariffs, but he's not going to tell us who they are.
Sir, have you talked to any tech leaders over the weekend about the tariffs?
Yeah, I talked to the biggest in the world. I talked to the biggest of them all, many of them, but I've talked to, I would say 4 or 5 that are considered the biggest.
Yep.
They don't, you know what they said? We don't blame you.
Who did you talk to?
I don't want to say. I'll put it out. I may give it to you.
NVIDIA CEO?
I have to find out if they mind. I don't know if that was a confidential call or not, but we had 5 or 6.
There's something deeper going on here, I believe, than Donald Trump's economic illiteracy, because even being economically illiterate wouldn't necessarily point you to the policy that Donald Trump is pushing. This really is a form of economic nihilism, I would argue by design. When Trump breaks things, it's not because he thinks it's necessarily going to work. It's because he thrives in chaos. And sometimes the play is to actually then come in and fix whatever you broke. And we've talked about this before. You blow up the economy through tariffs. You blame the Fed, you blame Democrats, you blame immigrants, you blame China, whoever, right? You just blame somebody else. And when people are desperate enough, you offer protection in exchange for power. This is classic authoritarian opportunism. If people are scared and broke and confused and desperate, they will trade rights for security. Could be economic security, could be militaristic security. In this case, the idea is they will hand the keys to the guy who pretends to be strong, even if the one who broke it is that very same guy. And by the time anybody realizes, how deep the damage goes, he'll be on a plane back to Mar-a-Lago to spend another weekend playing golf. That seems to be the play here. Now, meanwhile, we're starting to see more and more Republicans turn on Trump. We'll talk about that later. Meanwhile, we are starting to hear rumblings that Trump is going to reverse all of this and say, hey, I found reason to pause it because, as he says, the countries are negotiating with me. The tech CEOs love it, and everybody's just so thrilled. I'm going to be able to pause this, whatever explanation he can give. That also is something that is being predicted. I don't know which way it's going to land. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. The weather's warming up. It's just about time to start enjoying the outdoors again if you live in a place that has seasons. And it's time for the upgrade you've been thinking of. Our sponsor, Fast Growing Trees, has you covered. It's America's biggest online nursery with thousands of different plants and 2 million happy customers. Fast Growing Trees has all the plants your yard needs, from fruit trees to privacy trees, flowering trees, and shrubs. They make it easy to find whatever fits your climate and your space. Everything's delivered directly to your door in just a few days. You'll get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your landscape, choose the right plants, and care for them. I have some beautiful white hydrangeas on the way from Fast Growing Trees right now. They are going to look great. Really looking forward to having them. And right now they have some amazing deals at fastgrowingtrees.com, including up to half off, and my audience gets an additional 15% off when you use the code PACMAN. The link is in the description.